Okay. Have you ever felt just overwhelmed, like your emotions are totally running the show and you're not really in the driver's seat?
Yeah, like you're just reacting all the time instead of, choosing how to respond.
Exactly. Maybe some throwaway comment someone makes just sticks with you all day. Or thinking about a big presentation just sends you spiraling.
Totally relatable.
Well, one of our listeners sent us a really interesting resource. It's called Your Erroneous Zones.
Ah, yeah, classic.
Great. And the title kind of says it all. That's what we're diving into today, trying to spot and, well, escape those mental traps that stop us feeling in control.
Hmm.
So, our mission here is basically to pull out the really practical, maybe even surprising insights from it, like a shortcut to getting a better handle on your emotional life.
And what's really key about this book, I think, is that it's not really aimed at like severe psychological disturbances.
Right. It's more everyday stuff.
Exactly. It zooms in on those thought patterns, those habits we barely notice, the ones we might even think are normal.
But they're actually undermining our happiness.
Precisely. Undermining happiness, blocking our sense of agency. These erroneous zones, as the author calls them. They're basically learned ways of thinking, cultural things we pick up.
And they lead to self-defeating cycles.
Yeah. And each chapter kind of dissects one specific zone, looks at where it comes from, how it plays out in life.
And importantly, how to get rid of it.
Yeah, the strategies for elimination. That's the core.
So it's like digging into the code behind our everyday frustrations. And a message that really jumps out is this idea that fundamentally you have a choice.
Yes, that you are the sum total of your choices.
Yeah.
It sounds simple, but it's pretty profound when you apply it.
It's not about ignoring feelings, is it? It's more about recognizing you can choose the response, choose your emotional state almost.
Exactly. And another huge theme is the present moment, focusing on the now.
Because we spend so much time stuck in the past, like regrets or worrying about the future.
Right. Instead of just dealing with what's right here, right now. That's where a lot of unhappiness comes from, according to the book.
Okay, so choice and the present moment. That leads nicely into this other big concept, doesn't it? The locus of control thing.
Oh, yeah. Internal versus external locus of control. Super important. It's basically asking, where do you assign responsibility for how you feel?
Is it outside factors?
Like my boss made me angry. She offended me. My friends don't get me. That's external.
You're blaming the outside world.
Or even for good feelings. My friends are great. That's why I'm happy. Things went my way today. Still external.
Okay, so the alternative is
Internal. Looking inwards. What I'm telling myself about this is unhelpful. Or maybe I'm giving what they say too much importance.
taking ownership,
Yeah. Owning your reaction. Realizing you have the power to be happy or unhappy, ultimately.
which feels, I don't know, less common. Culturally, we seem very geared towards the external, don't we?
Definitely. It's often the default. Blame the traffic, blame the weather, blame your partner.
But the book argues that real freedom comes from shifting towards that internal locus. That's kind of the key to dismantling these erroneous zones.
It really is. And if you think about that external focus, it links directly to another major zone, the need for approval.
Ah, yes. Wanting everyone to like you, to validate you.
Constantly seeking that external thumbs up. And the book argues this drives so much self-defeating behavior.
You see it everywhere, like those song lyrics.
Oh yeah, I can't live if living is without you, or you're nobody till somebody loves you. It's baked into our culture.
Even small things, like getting really upset if someone doesn't like your decorating choices or something.
Exactly, it shows how much power we give away. We become hostages to other people's opinions.
And the book talks about the hidden dividends of this, right? Like the secret payoffs.
Yeah, it's kind of counterintuitive, like seeking approval lets you blame others if you feel bad.
Well, they didn't approve, so of course I'm upset.
Avoids risk too, doesn't it? I won't try that new thing in case people disapprove. Exactly. It can reinforce a poor self-image sometimes, like fishing for compliments or sympathy or seeking caretaking.
Hmm. So, how do we break free? What are the strategies for ditching this constant need for approval?
Well, one technique is about labeling. If someone disapproves, instead of shrinking, you mentally or even verbally label it as their feeling.
Like saying,
Something like, okay, you seem upset and think I shouldn't feel this way.
yeah,
It puts it back on them. You're acknowledging their reaction, not necessarily validating its power over you.
that takes some guts.
It does. Another is calling out manipulation. If you feel someone's trying to make you doubt yourself to gain control.
You say something.
Maybe something like, normally I might start to second guess myself here to, get your approval, but actually I feel okay about what I said.
Wow, okay. Assertive. What else?
Thanking people for feedback, even critical stuff, but without feeling you have to change based on it. Just acknowledge you heard them.
And then there's that slightly scary one, deliberately seeking disapproval.
Yeah, that sounds weird, right? But the idea is to, practice. Put yourself in situations where disagreement is likely. State your view calmly and just. Notice that you survive.
To desensitize yourself to the fear.
Exactly. To learn that disapproval doesn't actually diminish you. It's different from being defensive, where you're protecting your ego. This is about building resilience.
Okay, so it's about ignoring manipulation, breaking that link between their opinion and your self-worth.
Realizing agreement isn't necessary for a connection. Accepting not everyone will get you. It's about building your validation from the inside out.
That makes sense. So we've got external pressures, but we also create our own limits, don't we, with labels?
Oh, the I am statements. Yeah, that's another huge erroneous zone.
I'm shy, I'm bad at math, I'm just not a leader, I'm clumsy.
All those labels we stick on ourselves.
Yeah.
And the book argues they're basically prisons we build.
How so? They seem harmless enough sometimes.
Well, they become excuses, right? They stop us from even trying. Why bother applying for that job? I'm not management material.
Ah, okay. And there are dividends here, too.
Definitely. They let you avoid effort, justify past slip-ups, avoid challenging situations. You can even blame your genes or how you were raised.
It keeps you in a comfort zone, even if it's a really limiting one.
Precisely. Comfortable but restrictive.
So how do we dismantle these self-imposed labels? What are the strategies?
A big one is setting behavioral goals that contradict the label. If you think I'm shy, the goal is initiate one conversation today. Action over identity.
Okay, focus on doing, not being.
Yes. Getting support helps too, friends who can gently call you out when you use those limiting labels.
Like a spotter at the gym, but for thoughts.
Kind of. Journaling helps too, tracking the labels, the situations, the feelings. Just becoming aware is huge.
And actively correcting the self-talk.
Yes. Catching I am shy and consciously changing it to I used to be shy or I'm working on being more outgoing. Maybe focus on changing just one I am statement a day.
Small steps.
And trying new things. Stepping outside that self-defined box challenges the label directly.
It's about rewriting that internal narrative, isn't it? Moving from fixed identity to, like, potential for growth.
Exactly. Okay, let's shift gears slightly. Guilt and worry. Two big ones.
Oh, yeah. The weight of the past and the fear of the future.
The book frames guilt as a reaction to rules others impose, or rules we impose on ourselves. And it makes a strong case that, well, it's pretty useless.
Useless? How so? Doesn't it teach us lessons?
The argument is that it doesn't actually change the past. Dwelling on it is just self-punishment. And paradoxically, feeling guilty can sometimes make you more likely to repeat the behavior, maybe out of a weird sense of, well, I'm already bad. Might as well.
Huh. I hadn't thought of it that way. And it mentions specific areas, like sex, where guilt is often culturally loaded.
Yeah, heavily influenced by societal norms and shoulds.
Okay, so if guilt isn't helping, how do we let it go?
First step,
Mm-hmm.
radical acceptance that the past is done. Can't change it. 0%.
Easier said than done sometimes.
Absolutely. Then look at the present. What are you avoiding now because of past guilt?
Ah, connecting past feeling to present behavior.
Exactly. And reconsider your values. Which rules do you genuinely believe in, and which have you just sort of absorbed?
Distinguishing authentic values from adopted ones.
Right. And instead of just feeling guilty, try evaluating the actual consequences of your actions. Were they really that catastrophic?
Get objective about it.
Yeah. And don't let others use guilt to manipulate you. Maybe even, and this is another challenging one, deliberately do things that might trigger mild guilt, just to confront the feeling and realize you can handle it.
Facing the fear again?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And worry. The book basically calls it future-oriented guilt, feeling bad about stuff that hasn't even happened.
Worrying about failing the test before you've even taken it.
Exactly. Same uselessness, different time frame.
Okay. Now, what about this idea of the illusion of justice in relationships, the whole it's not fair thing?
Right. This constant demand for perfect fairness, perfect reciprocity. The book argues it actually messes up communication and builds resentment.
How does it do that? Wanting fairness sounds fair.
Well, it often pushes you back into that external locus of control. Your happiness depends on the other person acting fairly.
Ah, okay. You're waiting for them to balance the scales.
Exactly. And you fall into these justice traps, like keeping score. I did this for you, so you owe me that. Or feeling obligated to return every favor precisely.
That tit-for-tat mentality. Yeah, I can see how that gets draining.
Totally. So how do you escape this trap?
Let me guess. Focus internally again.
Bingo. Focus on your own actions, your own goals, independent of what the other person does or doesn't do.
Instead of, would I do that to you?
Maybe think, okay, you're different from me. I find that hard right now, but your actions don't define my well-being.
Accepting difference, detaching your emotional state.
Yeah. And try changing the language. Instead of, it's not fair. Maybe it's shame or I'd prefer it if. It shifts from demand to preference.
Takes the heat out of it a bit.
Right. Stop comparing constantly. Catch yourself making those fairness statements and correct them. Do nice things because you want to, not out of obligation.
Set your own standards for behavior regardless of others.
Exactly. Let go of the external scoreboard.
Okay. Now, for one, I think literally everyone struggles with at some point. Procrastination.
The the universal erroneous zone. What's interesting here is the book highlights that the discomfort is purely self-inflicted.
Right. It's an internal battle, unlike maybe reacting to someone else's criticism.
Totally. And again, there are those hidden dividends. Why do we do it?
Fear of failure.
That's a big one. Also, ironically, fear of success and the responsibility that comes with it.
Really? Huh.
Yeah, avoiding boring tasks, obviously, or unpleasant ones.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's about maintaining a weird sense of control by, well, not doing things.
So even though it makes us anxious, there's a short-term win in avoiding the task itself.
Exactly. So the million-dollar question, how do we break the cycle?
What does the book suggest?
Lots of things. A core idea is living moment to moment. Maybe break tasks into tiny chunks like just 5 minutes.
The 5-minute rule.
Yeah. Often, just starting is the hardest part. Do it immediately, even for a bit, to break the anxiety barrier.
Ask what's the worst that could happen.
Right. Often the fear is way bigger than the reality. Scheduling specific short blocks of time helps too. Okay, 15 minutes on this report, starting now.
Makes it feel less daunting.
Definitely. Remind yourself you're important. You don't deserve this self-inflicted anxiety. Face the fear of being efficient, strangely enough.
Take immediate action. Stop smoking now, kind of thing.
Yeah, the decisive energy. Use your mind creatively if a task is boring. Shifts from being a critic of yourself to just a doer.
Remember, time is limited. Value action over perfection.
Crucial. Ditch words like hope, wish, maybe. Keep a journal of procrastination and complaining. Get input from people affected by your delays.
Maybe even make contracts with people. I promise I'll have this done by Friday.
Yeah, adding that external accountability can work for some people. It's a whole toolkit.
Definitely sounds comprehensive. Okay, moving on to dependence. How is that an erroneous zone? Isn't some dependence healthy?
Good question. The book distinguishes healthy interdependence, mutual support from unhealthy dependence.
And unhealthy dependence is?
Rooted in obligation.
Yeah.
Feeling you have to be in a relationship, or acting based on what others expect, not what you truly want. It's about lacking psychological independence.
So feeling trapped by expectations.
Pretty much. Common signs are constantly seeking permission, feeling emotionally lost if a key person isn't there, getting way too wrapped up in a loved one's choices or moods.
And the book says we teach people how to treat us.
Yeah, that's a powerful point. We set patterns. If we always defer, people learn to expect it.
What are the psychological compensations here? Why stay dependent?
Perceived safety, maybe. Protection, being able to blame others if things go wrong. Avoiding change, avoiding risk.
Pleasing others feels good short term.
Right. Avoiding the guilt of asserting yourself. Avoiding the burden of making your own decisions. It can feel easier sometimes.
But ultimately limiting. So how do we proclaim independence?
Start by spotting and questioning those feelings of obligation in relationships. Is it genuine desire or just obligation?
Remind yourself their disapproval doesn't define you.
Absolutely key. Ask yourself, would you want someone to do things for you purely out of obligation? Probably not.
Good point. Make conscious choices to step outside those dependent roles.
Aim for financial independence. Stop giving and taking orders in personal relationships. Assert your right to privacy.
Give kids appropriate control over their own space and choices.
Yeah, fostering their independence.
Oh, wow.
Separateness in relationships, it's healthy. Remember, you're not responsible for other adults' happiness.
Don't just do things out of habit if they feel dependent.
Challenge the habit. And interestingly, the book suggests people who try to control you often respect independence more when they see it.
Huh. Okay, final big zone. Anger.
Ah, anger. The book frames it again as a choice, a reaction to unmet expectations. The world isn't behaving how you think it should.
Like road rage. Someone cuts you off, they shouldn't have done that. Boom, anger.
Exactly. Or losing a game, things not being tidy, taxes being high, someone being slow. It's all about reality not matching your internal rule book.
And anger shows up in lots of ways, right? Not just shouting.
Oh yeah. Yelling, violence, sure. But also sarcasm, blaming, the silent treatment. It's varied.
And the dividends. Why choose anger? It often feels bad.
It can provide a fleeting sense of power, maybe. It can push people away, avoiding intimacy. It can manipulate through guilt or fear.
Block communication. Avoid looking at your own part in things.
Right. Generate self-pity, excuse failure, justify not trying. Sometimes it even feels falsely human or passionate.
Okay, so if it's a choice, and often a poor one, what are the alternatives? How do we replace anger?
Awareness first. Noticing the thoughts in the moment, anger starts bubbling up.
Then maybe delaying the reaction.
Yes. Practice pausing, just 10-15 seconds before reacting. Give yourself space to choose differently.
Act as if angry without the internal turmoil. What does that mean?
It's like you can express displeasure or set a boundary firmly, maybe with a raised voice if needed in some situations, like with kids crossing a street, but without letting the internal emotional storm take over. Maintain inner calm.
Okay. Except others have a right to be different, even if it's annoying.
Crucial. Talk to trusted friends. Keep an anger journal, track triggers, reactions.
Try physical closeness during conflict instead of pulling away.
Counterintuitive, but can diffuse things in intimate relationships sometimes. Communicate triggers constructively beforehand.
You calm down in the first few seconds by just naming the feeling. Okay, I feel frustrated.
Exactly. Remember, disagreement is normal. Aim to reduce anger's frequency and intensity over time. Maybe the goal is, eventually, no anger at all.
Lofty goal. Lower expectations of others.
Can help, except kids will be kids. Encourage yourself instead of getting mad at yourself. Manage anger in traffic, deep breaths, music perspective.
Use frustration as fuel for change, not just rage.
Yes, turn the energy into problem solving.
Wow, okay, that's a lot to chew on. So wrapping this deep dive up, the big takeaway from your erroneous zones really seems to be about reclaiming internal power, doesn't it?
Absolutely. The power to shape your emotional world lies within you. It comes down to awareness of these ingrained patterns.
These zones.
Yeah, and then making conscious choices to respond differently, more constructively.
And it's not a quick fix, is it? It's an ongoing process.
Definitely. A journey of self-awareness driven by your own will to change and grow.
Okay, so here's a final thought for everyone listening, something to mull over. Pick one should or ought to belief that plays a big role in your life right now.
Just one.
Yeah. And just for a moment, question it. Ask yourself right now in this present moment, is it absolutely true? Does it have to be this way?
What might happen if you loosened your grip on that one expectation? Just a little.
What possibilities might open up? It sounds small, but challenging those rigid shoulds could be the start of finding a lot more freedom in your own emotional life.